What's up guys, David here and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. This week's guest interview is with James and Claire. So if you're looking to set up a retreat, or maybe you've been doing retreats before and you want to figure out how is the best way to fill them, to get people interested, to run them, to make sure people want to keep coming back and joining your retreats, then this is the episode for you. James and Claire literally take us through all of this and so much more. Plus they also mention a 5-day free training that they have to be able to give you so you can go away and learn some of this extra stuff yourself. But before I do dive into this week's guest interview, if you haven't already joined us inside our free Facebook group, head over to Facebook, search for FitPro Lead Gen with Dave, request to join and get access to even more guides, trainings, insights, guest interviews and so much more. Anyway, let's dive into this week's guest interview. Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Pro Daily. So this week's one's a little bit different, okay, because it's the first time I've ever had two people on the show at the same time, and it's also the first time we're doing it in the brand new office layout. So James and Claire, welcome to the show. How are things?
Hi, David. We're great, thanks. How are you doing?
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Background looks amazing. Your background looks amazing. Your new office space.
Yeah, your office is fab.
Yeah, I think Willow did an okay job painting. I've not found any mistakes just yet. I'll have a better look next time. Cool. I often start every episode off by asking, how's the weather? It's literally raining here in Wales all the time, but there's a lot of light coming. So is it quite nice where you are?
We are lucky enough to split our time between London in spring and summer and Marbella for winter. So we are currently in Marbella and it is about 20 degrees and sunny. Yeah.
This is why everyone switches off at this point and thinks, I don't like them already.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing it's definitely warmer than it is here in rainy, wet Cardiff. Yeah.
No, we're really.
We'll try and send some sunshine your way.
Appreciate it. Okay, so we start every episode off by just quickly finding out how you both or how the person got started in the fitness industry. So just quickly, how did you both kind of get started?
Well, you go first because you always were. I was not into fitness for years.
I got into fitness. I went to a school that was basically made sport compulsory, and there was a lot of sport. So I kind of came into it that way, and I guess at that time it was quite advanced, even at like schoolboy level, extra training around things like playing rugby, but having like gym sessions, stuff like that. So I got an early grounding into fitness via training for sports. That passion carried on with me through university, kind of dabbled in other stuff. Long story short, I went on to have like corporate career doing other things. But in 2011, just thought, I want a bit more from life than this. So I jacked everything in, moved to Ibiza, re-qualified again as a PT, because I was qualified as a fitness instructor way back. So to get my PT calls and set up a business running fitness holidays in Ibiza. But came with a totally new model at the time, because before then, boot camp's been exactly that. Boot camp is kind of, we'll feed you rice and beans and beast you all day long. So yes, you'll lose loads of weight, but you won't really understand the how or why. So we came at it from partnering with like a 5-star hotel. There's healthy food, but if you want to have a burger, go fill your boots. We're going to educate you on the whole nutrition part. We're going to give you all the mindset tools as well and keep the training really varied. So it's obviously been really successful. And over a decade later, we're still here.
Well, I didn't re-qualify. I was in PR for years, like fashion PR and stuff, and I hated it for years. And I was doing all like the mindset stuff. So I became a coach for Microsoft. I was doing loads of different things, trying to get out of PR, like stress management consultant in the city, all these things on the side. And then it was actually for me a personal experience. I went through a divorce and I was put on antidepressants, like pretty much straight away. I was going through a really hard time. And I was like, I don't want to be on these for the rest of my life. Like, what else can I do? I wasn't really into fitness or nutrition, didn't know much about it. And then started looking after myself. I got a PT, started strength training, started eating well, like getting really into my nutrition. And I was able to come off the antidepressants and I was just like hooked. So then I re-qualified in PT, nutrition, and molded my coaching and my PT and nutrition stuff together. And that's what we bring to the retreats business now and our online coaching. So a bit of a blend. But I didn't start the business with James. James started it before I came along When did I come along into your world? About 7 years ago. Yeah, about 7 years ago, I joined James over in Ibiza when I'd been qualified for about 3 years, and then 2 or 3 years, and then joined James in Ibiza, and we ran retreats together, and then started in Marbella as well.
Nice, yeah. So everything was going okay up until lockdown, I'm guessing. Then,
Yeah.
You could say that, David. I mean, we were looking, going into
2020.
Yeah, 2020. We were like, oh, well, this season's looking amazing.
Amazing.
You know? We're like almost
booked.
80% booked for the season already. You know, because our model was we kind of run retreats in Marbella through the winter, so like January, February, March. Then from Easter onwards, we'd be in Ibiza with pretty much a retreat every week at least, sometimes 2 a week, sometimes even
Exhausting.
3 a week.
That was too much.
and then this thing, COVID, started appearing in the news.
And we were like, no, it won't come to much. No,
and
don't
then,
worry.
of course, we all know what happened. The world shut down. So we were left in a really unenviable position of not only, of course, no new requests for bookings coming in, obviously,
but refunds
but having to refund everyone back for that season, and actually then for the season after as well. But pleased to say it's picking up again now. We've got retreat in a couple of weeks here in Marbella, and getting loads of inquiries through for Ibiza. So we're taking a softly approach to this season. We're just gonna, I think, just go for like 1 a month or something at the moment to see how it all pans out, and all seeing how fast things can change with restrictions and so forth.
Okay, so let's start right at the start before you'd even consider it. For people who are maybe watching this or listening, and they're like, what even is a retreat? What is a retreat?
That's actually a really good question. I know Claire will want to jump on this. I think a retreat is what you make it. So the first thing to say is like, think about like what experience you want to deliver for your clients, right? You know, it's easy to look at someone else, what someone else is doing, and just like try and replicate it. But actually think about, you know, what's my style of doing what I do? You know, this is broadcast for Fit Pros. You know, what's my approach to training? What's my ethos? How can I encapsulate that in a long weekend or a week? What would I want that experience to be for clients? So start with that. Start with the experience, what you'd want them, you know, the end result that you want your clients to walk away with.
Yeah. And I think, I think making sure that you've got a really clear idea of what sets you apart as well, because I think what's happening is the wellbeing industry was growing anyway and booming anyway. Now, since COVID and since the last couple of years, like we're seeing a massive boom in wellness again. And retreats are just, people want one-to-one connection. Like they're really, really crying out for that one-to-one connection. And it's a great opportunity, obviously, to share your gifts with more people, but actually making sure that you're setting yourself apart. Like what makes yours a bit different? How can you bring your own? Because obviously we've both got branding backgrounds as well. So we were in PR, you were in marketing. So actually we know how important it is to try and set yourself apart, which is what you did when you set up your retreats, was that kind of, yes, we're going to give you all the tools to walk away with to help you with a healthy lifestyle, but we're not going to beast you. We're going to, that was your USP, wasn't it?
Yeah, that does make it quite interesting then. So like you're saying, you go with your own training philosophy and you make it like your own style. Yeah. You're talking about you're doing these retreats in Marbella and Ibiza, but I'm a local studio here in Cardiff. Do I have to travel? Do I have to go overseas, or could I do it in Bristol or North Wales or up in Scotland or something?
You can totally do it in the UK. So we did actually last year. We were lucky enough in the gap in restrictions to get a retreat away in the UK.
Totally sold out. Totally sold out. We had 22 people on that, didn't we?
So you can do them anywhere. I'd say it's always good to get away from your home location, because again, it's giving your clients something a bit different. It's that change of environment, which can make them more receptive to what you're teaching. But it doesn't have to be a far-flung destination. And in some senses, you know, at the moment, the way the world is, that the farther flung you go, potentially the more pitfalls there could be for you. But UK-based, yeah, there's definitely a demand for it. We saw last year, with restrictions still in place, like how much demand for UK-based holidays, domestic travel. The trick is then finding like the good venue that's going to work for you, and that's the next stage of planning your retreat, is actually finding the venue and making sure it's ticking the boxes that you need as well. And
I would say actually you can even do day retreats. So if you want to dip your toe into something as well, you can do day retreats as well. So you can set it up in a style that you would normally do, And then if people do want to stay the night, we've done that format as well before. We've done a day retreat, but then you had an option to do a little bit the next day as well if you wanted to. So you could stay overnight. So there's so many different ways of running a retreat that could work for you and your lifestyle that you've got and will work for your clients, because everyone's got different clients. You might have mums, for example, that can't get away from their children for that long. So you've got to look at the timescales of how long you want your mums, and not having a retreat, for example, in half term. All those sorts of things you need to consider.
So we have the Three Peaks coming up. I think it's in April, May. Would that be classed as a retreat of some sort?
I'd say that's probably more of a challenge, right? Because everyone's going to be focused on just the Three Peaks.
Yeah, and what a challenge it is. I'd love to do that.
But what you could do is before that, like a month before, run the Three Peaks prep retreat. Like take everyone away for just like a weekend, 1 or 2 days, and just like some orienteering, some general fitness trainings, like some bushcraft stuff, things like that.
Because we were going to do one for skiing, so we were going to do where we work from, Punta Romano. They also have a sister hotel up in Sierra Nevada. So we were actually going to do like a bit of fitness training down on the beach, getting people prepared to take them then skiing.
So is there a definition of the Three Peaks you said was a challenge and not a retreat, and going away for a couple of days and kind of having the orienteering and all kinds of things? What kind of defines a retreat then, so people can know what the separation really is?
I think for like a retreat, again, I think it's a variation of lots of different things. So it's making sure that the environment, I would say a retreat is making sure, obviously we don't have a defined version of a retreat, but actually if you looked in the dictionary, it probably would be somewhere that you go to reconnect with yourself. For us, it's like reconnecting with your body, mind and soul. So we give people the mindset tools, the emotional tools, the spiritual tools, the fitness tools, that like everything. But I think it's a place where people can really reconnect with themselves and ground themselves and learn new things, but a variety of different things as well. And that you've got that really immersive experience. Whereas I think a challenge, for example, like James said, it's just like focusing on that challenge, going to sleep, getting up if you can sleep. But it's just kind of like the one thing, isn't it?
So so having a few different things going on that people can maybe if they want to try it, they can. If they don't want to they don't fancy it, they can just almost relax by the pool or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned earlier that finding the place to stay, that is usually the trickiest part. So we just can't go and sleep in a tent. Do we have to have a hotel? Does it have to have a pool? Kind of, how does the accommodation kind of work, really?
So again, it's about knowing your market, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like kind of looking at your client base. What kind of experience do you think they want, and also like what's their cost sensitivity? If you're coaching like really say affluent people and you think they want a 5-star hotel, you want to look for a 5-star hotel that's going to have things like a spa and extra services. Or you might want to go to something that's a bit more, let's get away to the wilds and stay in log cabins and do like natural fitness with like chugging logs around the course or something. So it's about knowing your client base, deciding from there. And then it's finding the venue. So you want to find, there's loads of different models. You either hire a whole place outright, which is obviously putting a lot of risk on you to then fill the places.
Up front.
Or you can go and do a deal with a hotel. And again, those deals will vary. But there's lots of different models you can look at. I'd say it's about working out what your clients are going to want from their experience first. Like if your clients all love 5-star accommodation, there's no point trying to shove them in tents for the weekend. At the same time, if £3,000 for a weekend is going to be out of reach for your clients, there's no point pitching that either. So it's about knowing your clients and getting that positioning right. And
looking at the risk involved, like can you afford to actually pay for something up front, or are you going to have to partner with a hotel where you can pay per room? So as the bookings comes in, you can select an amount of rooms that you think you're going to use, and then when the bookings come in, you can take those rooms. Obviously, that's a little bit less risky than taking a whole place. But then if you feel like it feels really right to you to take a whole place over, so the whole thing is yours, that might be more ideal for your clients.
So I'm guessing then it's something you probably want to do a bit of research into both, and then chat to your prospects or your clients. Let's say if it was for DK9 Fitness, talk to the clients at the studio, tell them like these are the few options. which one do you kind of want to do? If it was your first one, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. If your first one, get
Do research.
talk to your clients. Do like the informal, just kind of chatting around to them while they're training with you. We're thinking of doing this. What kind of things would you like in it? What would you be willing to pay for it? What kind of food would you like? What kind of accommodation would you like? And then you could get a bit more formal, like send out little like mini questionnaires to your mailing list as well. Using things
That's what
like
we did.
We've done that
before.
Cool. Okay, so the events of the day then, so we said like walking up Ben Nevis, Snowdon, Scaffold Pike, I think it is like a challenge where you're talking about chucking logs and going down to the beach and doing some sort of yoga session and all this kind of stuff. How do you come up with these type of events then? Does it have to be like an action-packed day? Or if you're going away for a weekend, you just have one thing in the morning, one thing in the evening, and then the rest of the day is just kind of free-flowing?
Well, we've kind of mixed it. We've learned as we've gone along. I think that's also like what why we're quite passionate about talking about this is we've made a ton of mistakes, like a ton of mistakes with stuff like the schedule, trying to put too much in it, or never have we put too little in it because we want to give so many people so much value. And I think that's what most people out there would tend to do is put too much in it. So you want to give all this value away, but actually you're just completely knackering your people. But financially we've made loads of mistakes as well. But I think having a real balance of different lengths of times as well. So having like a 15-minute hit in the morning, for example, which is something that we do, a 15-minute hit at sunrise, and you go in for breakfast, then you have a couple of hours, then you might want to do a workshop. And then you might want to do a different form like boxing so basically just mixing up a lot of different varied ways of training that people are they may have never done before. So giving them like access to lots of different ways of training, like functional training, boxing, spinning, all that sort of stuff, but making sure that they're at the right times. What you don't want to do is put all your staff like loads of exercise after lunch, do you? You don't want to put loads of exercise after breakfast.
You look at the energy flow, right? If you take it from a gym, they're normally like they're used to working hard with you, but suddenly you're like, right, we've got 8 hours of solid exercise back to back for the day. You're basically gonna knacker them. So you got to look at that. Like, okay, let's do a big hard session here, but then
in the morning,
let's have a workshop after that where your mind's working, but your body's relaxing. So you're just working about the energy flow of the experience.
Yeah, and after lunch, for example, people are always a little bit like slumpy after lunch, so you're not gonna want to necessarily and you're not going to want to because they've just eaten, you're not going to want to take them out for a massive boxing session or something, so you'll do a short little workshop so their attention span's there, but then get them moving. So but again, it's completely depending on what your niche is and who you're training and all that sort of stuff. For example, I always use that example of mums. If they're fairly new mums trying to get back into shape or something, you need to be a bit slower with those.
Yeah, because I'm thinking now, if I was going to run one, like I would almost feel bad if there was periods where there was nothing. So like you say, you do a quick 15 hits, you have breakfast, and then the next event isn't until 11:30. What do they do for that 2 hour gap?
So I would say you'd be surprised. Like you do need to have, I would say if you're doing like a long weekend or a weekend, you want to cram a lot in because it's a short space of time. If you're doing like a week-long retreat, you probably want to leave like an afternoon in the middle of rest, particularly if you're taking people away somewhere else and you're like, oh, you can chill or you can go sightseeing or whatever. But you'd be surprised, people do need that time. The mistake a lot of people make is like, oh, here's session 1 from 9 till 10, session 2, 10 to 11, session 3, 11. And, you've got to remember that you've got your setup times between that. You've got people wanting to go to the toilet, grab some water.
Or want to quiz you about things as well. So actually making sure that you've got enough space between your sessions as well for all of that stuff is really, really important. But when we run the week-long ones in Ibiza, we have things like being out on the water, so like paddle boarding, or going for a nice hike. Again, so it's just really varied. But I know what you mean. It's one of those things that you feel bad that you might not have everyone. They might not have your attention for the entire time, but they don't necessarily want your attention for the entire time. They probably come from quite a busy, stressful life potentially. They just want to have a bit of downtime as well. And if you're in a nice environment, they can get to do that as well.
So I'm thinking of setting a retreat up. I've got a load of ideas from you now. And I've seen a few other companies on Facebook or on the internet say, bring your fitness clients to my retreats. Should you really have to go at setting up your own one, or would it be easier just to go and jump straight into someone else's kind of thing?
Oh, that's a good
great question.
Because we have had people do that for us, haven't they?
It can be easier to go to someone else's retreat center. We've hosted other trainers bringing their clients to run their retreat, and that can work quite nicely. They're on that kind of model. If you're the trainer, you'll definitely say, I'll go, and this is what I want for my outline, but could you guys provide this bit and this bit?
Especially if it's in a foreign country.
I think it's just, what works for you. And that's kind of like a low risk way to start as well. If you know you're going somewhere where it's all set up already, so you can take your clients in and the facilities are there, and there's kind of fallback in having other fit pros there that, they could take some sessions and take up some of the slack, or maybe cover areas that you don't cover. But then you probably want to have the flip side of that is you're not in full control of your experience. So, that's a pro. The con is you're not in full control. If you said, I want to make this a DK9 retreat experience, so I want my team there, I want to be running it, you probably want to find your own venues to do it and take your own team along.
And I would say, I think a lot of people don't have the confidence to do it, actually. It's been on their bucket list and they think, they're worried about making costly mistakes, which you can. I know we wish we'd had support when we were like setting up loads of different things, and also not having to go around the houses, like fast tracking it. But I think a lot of people don't have the confidence. They think that it's out of their reach, that it might not be possible for them because they don't know what the timescales are and they don't have like a roadmap. But actually, if you have a roadmap, it can fast track yourself really quickly to get in there. And you've got the things people don't think about, like the legals. People don't think about having the legals on board, like actually making sure that you're charging enough given your outgoing costs. And all those little bits and pieces that people don't think about. But I would say go for it, to be honest, because it's changed our lives running them. It really has. And I think it can do so much for your brand. Like it builds your brand. For us, it built the brand profile like so much. And you can make a really decent income. Really decent.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things we've got around on here was profits. But if you go back to just the simple one then, so I jump on something like booking.com or Airbnb. I find a nice place in the south of France. I find some flights that go from Bristol or Cardiff down to the south of France. I find some events to do and all this stuff. Do I just make it as one package and just say, guys, if you want to come, it's £350 for the weekend? Or do I just say, you sort your own flights out, all you need to do is pay for the accommodation and the event?
Sort your own flights out.
I would make the package excluding travel, because getting the travel side is a whole other headache. You get people saying, oh, actually, I can't make that flight. Can I book a different one? You're looking at price differences. Flights get delayed, flights get cancelled. And also, if you're booking the flights and the holidays, you're into a whole other area of actually being a travel agent rather than just providing a retreat package. So
really?
What the normal thing is like, this is the retreat. Here's the recommended flights that you should go and book yourself at the moment. EasyJet have got them for like £99 return on these days. Go fill your boots.
But even you get into a bit of a pickle sometimes, even with transfers. So picking people up, like the transfer from the airport, and everyone's arriving at all different times. And again, as a retreat leader, you end up thinking, I've got to provide that. But actually,
that's something you want to outsource. I can speak from experience. You're wearing a retreat, you're like, I've only got 15 to 20 people flying in. If half of them want transfers, I'm sure me and someone else could do that. And suddenly on the day,
you can't do it yourself. You can't do that yourself.
There's certain elements you want to outsource. Like you don't want to be doing transfer runs to airports and stuff like that.
No.
Because it sounds great to do all this stuff, but I think those are the main sticking points. So most people are thinking, you know what, I need to organise this plane to take all these people on the bus to do all this.
No.
Get them to book their flights and the travel to and from.
Yes.
Makes everything so much easier.
It really does. And here's the thing, you might think, when it's your first one, you really do feel like you're going to have to just give everything because it's your first one and you just want to put it. But you've got to really, it's going to be worse if that bit messes up, actually, not to offer it at all than to really mess it up and get it all off to a really bad start. So do what you do best and outsource the rest. That rhymed.
Well done.
That's quite good. So I've worked out that it's going to cost $400 for the accommodation, a yoga instructor to come in from the south of France. I'm going to do some stuff, maybe some catering every now and again, a few other bits. So it's $400. How much should I be actually charging? Should I go, it's $1,000 and make £600 or whatever? Or do you kind of just keep it so it almost breaks even once you know your costs?
No.
I think again it comes down to like really knowing your customer from the start. You know, what's their price sensitivity, and also, you know, what are they used to paying you for your services. You know, if they're paying you, I don't know, like 50 quid a session, and they're kind of, because people do the maths in their head, they're like, oh, I was getting like 8 sessions over this weekend, but hold on, they're charging you 2,400. That doesn't seem to add up.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing that, but. So you're not left on a sticky wicket. Again, look at your model. If you're going the model of like you're hiring a venue, so all the outlays on your side, you probably want to start pricing it a bit higher. So you're breaking even on about 3 or 4 people coming in, depending on the size, the overall size of the retreat.
Yeah.
So that, you know, if you end up in that situation where you've got 5 or 6 people, you're still making something for yourself. You're not losing money. Because I can tell you from experience, there's nothing more disheartening than putting something out there and you've got 3 people and you're running it knowing I'm losing money here while I'm doing it. So it's about knowing, it's about having your spreadsheets in place and knowing your margins and working it out. And again, that's the beauty of the other model with a hotel, where you can get it like, I only pay for the rooms I'm using. Then you kind of avoid that kind of problem. But again, working out the margin you're going to take is sensitive to knowing your client.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a rough estimate then? Say you can facilitate 10 people at the most. Should 2 people be enough to cover everything and then the rest is profit?
No, I'd say about 4. I'd say about 4. Yeah. And also, here's the thing. Yeah, I think also here's where people do go wrong as well sometimes, is what we've seen. So you'll have a model, and this is why you have to keep tweaking it and keep like changing it as well, is like when you first start up your retreat, you're going to have, if you're a PT and you're starting your retreat, you're going to have like loads of your clients coming on your first 1, 2, 3 maybe. But then if you're looking up to scale your retreats as well, then you've got to be looking at, what do those look like when I'm trying to get new people into the funnel at the top? You know, like, what do they look like? How much are they willing to pay? Like, how many do I need of those new people to break even? And actually, that's where your profit margins do go up and down a little bit. When you're setting yourself up, even in the first year or 2 years, you know, those retreats, some will be really full. And then some of them won't be, because of the time of year, of what's going on in the world, whatever. So actually, just having a bit of a buffer as well. So, you know, don't go out. What I would say is, if you have a sellout retreat, please don't go out and like just spend all that money. Like, really have some of it. Think about scaling it. That's what we're really passionate about, is helping people think of the long term, not just this one retreat. If you're looking to grow a retreats business, which we thoroughly recommend you do because it's amazing, you know, have a look at like what you're doing with that money, and you know what happens when you've burnt through all of those clients that you've got, and you need to get new ones in, when you need to start investing in Facebook ads and blah blah blah.
So that, Claire, takes us perfectly on to the next question, was the advertising of it. So take DK9, let's say we've got roughly about 150, 160 clients at the minute, and say we're doing this retreat and there's 20 spaces and we've got 11 of them committed, the rest are not really interested, or it just doesn't work out for them. I've got 9 more spaces to fill. How do I get non-clients, people that already pay us, to know about it? How do I convince others?
Wow. I think I'm just doing a lot of organic. You know, here's the thing: it's not a quick fix, right? And I know that you agree with that. It's about setting those up and being constantly talking and being across social media, and making sure that you are posting on a regular basis, going into groups, sharing your knowledge, partnering with people. Like, partnerships is a great way when you're starting to scale. Partnering with different brands, doing different things with different people is really helpful for your like organic reach. But Facebook ads, obviously, but also because I'm a PR girl, ex-PR girl. You know, once you've got that set up and you're confident with it, like, PR is still, like, we get people Googling us, Googling fitness retreat or whatever. And, you know, they're like, oh, I've seen you in the Telegraph. And like, when was that from? And that's like 7 years ago, you know. So PR does still, you do pay a lot for it, but it does still have a lot of traction. People still look for stuff like that.
I was going to say, and there are other operators out there like specialising in selling wellness experiences that you can go to, and they'll put you on their platform, and they'll take a cut. Obviously, they take a commission, but that's another way to fill your places by getting onto a platform of other wellness providers.
That's what you did, didn't it? It really worked for you.
Nice. Okay. So the final question I really have on this then is, I'm taking the guys to Marbella, for example, or somewhere like that. It's all set up. I've got everything planned. It's all going great. Everyone's turned up. Is it okay for me to just get on my phone and start literally recording everything that's happening to create like an amazing video of the whole experience? Or should I be quite cautious because people are almost coming to like relax and enjoy themselves and don't want to be like, hey, how's everything going? Everything.
We've massive mistake. We've mistakes we've made, and I think, you know, in this day and age where everything is filmed, but we just presume, and you shouldn't presume, that people are okay and comfortable on camera and photographs. So we actually ran an entire retreat at a bit of a lower price one years and years and years ago, purely for press. So we said, well, you're going to come on our retreat over in Ibiza for like, you know, half the price, but you've got to sign an agreement that you're okay to be filmed and photographed and everything. And then we've got that footage. But we do ask if we're taking a photo. We'll always ask. I would say be
sensitive. Just speak to people when they're there. Like, do you mind me filming you? Do you mind me taking photos? And obviously, if anyone's like, I don't want to be in it, just make sure you don't use those shots because you don't want a headache down the line.
We've had that. So, we've had people say, actually, I don't want to be in those shots.
Sometimes people will say it's fine, and then they'll see the shot up and they'll like message you going, oh, I don't like it, take it down. So it's just part of it.
And we have made that mistake, you know, like hands up. I've put, because I do a lot of the social media, and years ago I put some photos up, and I hadn't asked. I think I'd asked loosely, but not. There was one person that actually came back and said, "Can you take that photo down?" So, and you know, you do feel bad because you think, "Oh God, I hope I haven't really, you know, lost that person as a client." Luckily, we didn't, but you know, you do have to be really, really sensitive, especially with a certain demographic of person as well. Like ours, a lot of ours are midlifers, right? So they're feeling a little bit sensitive about their bodies and stuff at that age as well. So just be sensitive.
Okay, so they're the final things I have. There's a couple of comments coming in from people saying great advice and all that stuff as well. But is there anything that you think maybe I've missed? Obviously, I've never done this before, so I'm kind of asking the questions that I think were important. Is there anything you, as the experts, should think us?
Yeah, I mean, I think make sure. I think. Number one, make sure you know your clients, right? So start from that point. Who are my clients? What's the experience I want to give them with this? That's the most important thing. So if you get that wrong, if you're pitching something that's not relevant to your clients, it's going to be a non-starter. So really nail that part. Like we're saying, have a discussion with your clients, even think about sending out surveys to them. Then do your maths, like really do that. Look at a variety of options for your venues and different models, and really crunch the numbers, because you do not want to be there realizing I've sold 8 places, but hold on, I've got my maths wrong and I'm actually making a loss still.
We've done that, not that bad, but we've done that a bit. You know, we've done a bit of that too. We're like, oh no, crunch
your numbers, communicate with your clients, make sure you have got all your like liabilities in place. Like, you know, make sure you've got your proper insurances in place. Obviously, you're doing parkies, all the stuff you would do as a fit pro anyway. But just double down on that. Make sure everyone has travel insurance, particularly in these COVID times, right? Because you want to be in a situation where, you know, someone can't come for a medical reason and they're like, can I get my money back? Well, actually, you're like, well, that's why you need travel insurance, because telling us the day before you're due to join the retreat that now you can't come.
I can't give you your money back.
That's what you have travel insurance for. So it's just knowing things like that around the legalities to cover yourself and your clients.
And you think they might never happen.
Which you think it's going to be a nightmare, but it's really rare. You know, like it happens probably once in a full year of season, you get someone that's like, I can't come for some reason. But people do understand, particularly if it's in your terms and conditions as well. You know, like, well, look, you know, your doctor signed you off, so use that sign off to basically claim on your insurance for it.
I'd say that the things that most people miss and actually don't think about, even though it happens once in a blue moon, you're not thinking through what some of the risks are. Actually, most people don't think of the risks, and there are actually financially. There's quite a few risks. There's risk to your brand. There's risk to your reputation if you don't handle it right. So actually, part of what we're teaching people is how to handle some of those things that come up that we've had for the last 11 years that come up being prepared for those things is really key, because what you don't want to be is like a rabbit caught in the headlights when those things come at you.
And then I'd say don't underestimate the importance of the food side of things, because if people get bad food, that will really make them grumpy really fast. It doesn't matter if you're giving them the best experience in the world with the training and stuff. If the food's rubbish, they're just going to be miserable all the time. So those are things. And then the last thing is just remember to have fun with it, right? Remember, you're all there to learn and have fun and just enjoy it. It is so much fun connecting with people, getting people that maybe don't know each other together in a group, giving them the shared experience, and then sending them on their way, like feeling that they've learned and grown. So it's a great thing to do.
And I'm guessing if it's for like a studio owner like myself, or a boot camp or gym, if you do it as a collective of your clients, it builds such a strong bond.
Like massive. So we've got an online community, and a lot of those they'd met online. And then they came to our retreat in the UK and met each other all in person, and like they're like lifelong friends now. Like it was so nice to see them having been sweet to each other on Facebook and in our community, and then meeting each other face to face. So nice.
If you've got a studio or a gym now for your clients, it does build them into even more of a community. Those ones that go, and then the ones that didn't go on this one will be like, oh man, I really missed out. I've got to get on the next one.
I think I need to do a Fit Pro one. I'll speak to you guys and I'll get all the Fit Pros to come over. Cool. Is there anything else you think we've missed or we need to know about when it comes to running a retreat to finish?
No, just really consider it. Just have the confidence to do it. Just make sure you got your ducks in a row and stuff. But it's a really beautiful thing to do, and like the world is crying out for people to share their gifts and connect, and it does give you the freedom and flexibility and like an abundance level, an extra income stream that you might not have considered, but get it right and you can make a lot of money doing it.
Nice. So if anybody is watching this and they're like, wow, I don't even know where to start, or this sounds amazing, or I just need to speak to somebody, how could people reach out to you and actually take all this knowledge that you have?
So if you go to retreat-expert.com, you'll find our info there, and we're actually going to be running a 5-day free challenge as well, basically taking people through some of these steps, which is you've got the details.
It's a Retreat Expert mini course. So we're going to launch the main course by just doing something for 5 days for free within Facebook, sharing like those secrets to setting up and selling out and scaling your retreat, and that's starting on the 28th of February. So just sign up for that. It'll all be in Facebook and it's completely free. But you can find details of that on retreat-expert.com, or just email us as well. You can always email us, like Claire or James at 38degreesnorth.com, all written. So that's the name of our retreats business, 38degreesnorth.com. Just email James.
Guys, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your help today. I'm guessing people who are watching this or listening to this, whenever they are, they're probably going back, press and play, writing those notes down. Oh, that's what I said. I've been watching it a few times. But yeah, it's been great having you on. Hopefully we can get you on towards the end of the year and you can share us some winter retreats or something, or some other different topics.
Love that. David, thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate it.
David, you're awesome. Thank you so much for having us on.
I'll speak to you both soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, so that was James and Claire giving us a really good insight into what it's like to run a retreat business and what you need to do to kind of get your retreat business off the ground, find people, and so much more. And like they mentioned at the end, that if you would like to take part in their 5-day free challenge, just to drop them a message or head over to Facebook and search for them to get access to that challenge. I'm going to leave it there for today. If you love the episode, do let us know in the comments below. If not, I'll see you all next week. Cheers.